Hey there, how's it going? So I want to talk to you, I'm trying to make this quick, about the controversial issue of should we increase the minimum wage in the United States to $15 an hour. A lot of different thoughts on that. I'm not sure everyone's going to agree with me. Matter of fact, I know not everyone's going to agree with me. I'll put it that way. But let me give you some context before we even get into that, because I haven't heard these numbers before. I did some research, of course. So the current federal minimum wage rate in the United States is only $7.25 per hour. Amongst the 50 states, as of today, when I'm doing this video and did the research, because it's having some changes coming, some graduated changes. But as of today, at the end of April of 2023, 14 states, actually of the 50, are already have a minimum wage, because states can change from the federal, already are greater than $13 an hour, $13 or more per hour. However, 12 states of the 50 are at the $7.25 federal level. They haven't changed it, haven't increased it. The average amongst the 50 states, now I didn't weight adjust this for population or anything, but just taking the 50 states, the minimum per state, and then dividing it by 50 is $10.73 an hour. So we're already almost at $11 an hour. Again, a little bit of context for that. There's a lot of countries that institute minimum wages as well. I pulled just 4 countries. I tried to take some developed countries and get an average. So I pulled the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Japan. Tried to kind of spread it out amongst developed countries. The average, get this, now keep in mind, the average of the 50 states in the United States is $10.73. The average of those 4 countries, and I promise you, I just picked the 4. I didn't try to make the numbers work. The average amongst those 4 is $10.78. So pretty much the same place that we're at, even though they have different cost of living, different cost structures of everything, of course. But just to give you an idea and put it in perspective of where we are versus at least some of the countries we compare ourselves to. Again, United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Japan. Try to spread it out geographically as well. Now, what would be the impact of that if we increased and we went from, let's say call the average now $10.73, and we went to $15? It's about a 40-ish, whatever percent, off the top of my head, 40-ish% increase of hourly rates. Now, of course, labor costs are going to go up. Now, keep in mind, here's one thing that I think a lot of people forget. It's not just the people who are making less than $15 an hour that are likely to get a pay increase. I'll give you this example. You have Ken, the employee, is making $10 an hour. A $15 minimum comes in, so I go from $10 to $15. What about Susie, who's already making $15 before the minimum kicks in? Susie says, geez, I was making literally 50% more per hour than Ken because I had more skills than him. Now Ken's making the same as me. I should be making more. So now Susie's going to want, a 50% increase for Susie. It moves her from $15 to $22.50 an hour. It has a knock-on impact at all these levels. I mean, again, think about it in fairness to people that are already making more because of, experience, expertise, and whatever it may be. So it's not just moving someone from 10 to 15 or 12 to 15. It's all the other people along the scale as well. So of course, that's going to be increased labor costs to the business, which is going to likely mean, well, not likely, it will mean an increased cost to consumers. So again, if my average cost, if I'm using the averages again, if I'm paying $10.73 on average for those minimum wage jobs and I have to go to 15, forgetting the impact of all the others even, say it's a 40% increase, I'm going to have about a 40% increase in my labor costs, depending on changes I make. Again, all other things being equal, I'm going to have to look for cost savings, right? I'm going to automate a lot more things. I'm going to do a video about that in the next video, which I'm sure will not be popular. What is one of the major ways that we can automate some of these minimum wage jobs? And by the way, I should throw it out there, my opinion, for what it's worth. Minimum wage jobs are not meant to feed a family of 4 with a house or even a decent apartment and food and all that stuff. Minimum wage is for minimum skill. And that's how I look at it. Again, probably not a very popular opinion, but going back to this, so cost savings, business owners are going to look at cost savings so they can maybe try not to pass on a full 40% increase to consumers. That's going to be automations of a lot of these minimum wage jobs that don't require the experience or as much knowledge base, et cetera. And frankly, it's going to mean less jobs. We're going to cut back on those jobs because, again, you have to do that. So what can we do? What do we do? What's the solution here? First of all, we can do nothing. Frankly, we can let the free market determine, which is basically what we've done, which a lot of people don't like. I do like the idea that, maybe move the federal rate up to $10 or whatever makes sense, but let's just use $10 as a baseline. So at least we'll get those 12 states that are still at 725. And again, a lot of those states, I don't have a list of them in front of me right now, but a lot of those states were a lot of the lower cost states, lower cost of living states. Nonetheless, if we move the federal up to say $10, that's going to increase it, but it's going to be a little bit less of an impact, and allow states to be, adjust as they need to, right? The cost of living in the city of New York City is a lot different than, a town in the middle of nowhere in, Montana, let's say. So I'm not saying that you should get paid different for different jobs, but perhaps, right, as far as cost of living, and people are talking about a living wage and things, you should have to do that. Maybe index it to the cost of living, and not just, here's the main thing, not just based on political pressure. We got to come up with something that, at least me, my numbers brain, we got to make it something that's a little more financially driven, mathematically driven, and not just because of political pressures, not just because of what political party, is in power in that state or that locality or whatever it may be. So that's kind of what I think the impacts would be on moving to a federal minimum wage of $15 an hour. Next video is going to be on some of the automation things that can be done and the cost savings that can be done for business owners in order to back some of those off. So I think it's coming our way. I think it's going to be slow, but I think it is coming our way. So you might want to get out in front of that. That will be in the next video. Stay tuned, follow. Let's do this.